You're so beautiful. I really want to bring you home. You'll never guess where I am. Actually, just looking around, I reckon you can figure it out. That's right, I've come back to Cactus Vision, the incredible cactus nursery in the southern suburbs of Sydney. This place is amazing. Recently I turned 40. Can you believe it? Do I look 40 to you? And I came here to buy myself a present. Ended up getting myself the most beautiful fat peyote plant you'll ever see. Habitat staged it. It's absolutely stunning. But they had so much new stock here, so many cool new plants, that I thought, you know what, I'm going to come back, share it with you guys, and I reckon in all likelihood I'll probably go home with another plant as well. So let's go on a bit of a shopping tour today, shall we? We're not just looking, we're buying. I'm so excited. We'll start off having a look at these big landscape plants. Unlikely that what I'm seeking is going to be in here, but you just never know, right? Would you get a load of these? Cycads. These are Encephalatus horridus. Now, I don't know anything about cycads, but I know a beautiful plant when I see one. This thick, swollen trunk at the base here, and these fairly murderous, but also delicate leaves coming out of the top. An absolute thing of beauty. Price tag attached to them, though. I think these are a bit out of my league, but they drew me in straight away. I think I'm going to pass them by, but wow, absolutely amazing plants. Can you believe it? Coffee now at Cactus Vision. How good's that? We head now into the outdoor lot under shade, where we can see some big collections of some very large plants, including some quite stunning pachypodiums. Would you get a load of these? These are Pachypodium lomerii subspecies ramosum. Now, where your typical Pachypodium lomerii, your Madagascan palm, grows tall and lanky, and only in very old age does it develop that fattened base, you can see with these guys, they have that beautiful flask shape, even as very small plants, which makes them a more desirable version, I suppose. Now, these plants are very old. How can I tell? They've got some aging scars, they've got some lichen and moss and, you know, the patina of many, many years of growth, which I imagine means that their price tags are going to be higher. Those are also often the signs of a poached plant. But I know the provenance of these, I know where they come from. I was having a chat with the owners of Cactus Vision. They've come from an old nurseryman who's kind of closed down, offloaded a lot of his very old, very rare stock. And now there's an opportunity to buy them right here. I am very tempted by these. I've looked at them a lot. I've spent a lot of time thinking, hey, you know what? Do I get one of these fantastic plants and add it to the Arid Zine collection? But there's no price tags on them, and that makes me a little bit afraid. So we'll think about it and we'll see where we go from here. Now, while we're on the topic of pachypodiums, here are a few more. Pachypodium baronii, and these ones come from the same seller. They've got that beautiful textured aged trunk, which, you know, as far as I'm concerned, only adds to the appeal of these. These ones have got a price tag on them as well, which is well worth considering. Pachypodium baronii is another Madagascan species. These plants typically either come from Madagascar or Southern Africa only, limited to that sort of range. And generally speaking, they do have that beautiful, thick, cordiciform shape. Very sculptural, architectural, very desirable indeed. And that, I suppose, is reflected in the price tag. At the moment, I don't reckon I need anything quite this big, but they're a beautiful plant to look at nonetheless. Ooh, looking under their tables, secret pots of Huernias. That's exciting. Look at this horrible stuff, Euphorbia tiricale. Why would you want this in your garden? Looks pretty grotesque, which I suppose is a positive, but if the sap gets on you, it'll burn you. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Now I have to admit I'm a bit of a self-proclaimed succulent snob. I don't really go in for echeverias and crassulas and kalanchoes and the like, but if there was one species of kalanchoe that I'd go in for, it would be this one, Kalanchoe beharensis, the tallest of them. Fantastic small tree form. And the thing that I find really interesting about them is that you can actually graft onto them. I'd love to do some weird experiments grafting some echeverias or some crassulas onto a plant like this. Probably wouldn't start with one quite so big. It'd be a bit of fun to explore one day, maybe another day on the channel. Now I've got to admit, I'm not too well versed in my agaves, so maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but is this just a agave titanota just hanging around lazily in the biggest pot you'll ever see, casually in this outdoor section? Look at those teeth. How good's that? Certainly I think the most vicious of all the agaves that I'm aware of. If you're enjoying the show, hit like, mash the subscribe button, and maybe you'd like to buy one of these cool t-shirts, like this Mammillaria Boccasana Fred one. Anyway, check them out. And if you're an absolute Aridzine diehard, hang around to the end of the episode. I've got some pretty exciting news that you might be interested in hearing about. Now let me share with you a plant that I know I'm not bringing home today. I don't have the money nor the space, but nonetheless, this is undoubtedly the big daddy of the whole Cactus Vision collection. This is an Uncarina species, a massive, as you can see, massive pachycall cordiciform plant from Madagascar. Somehow, for some reason, here in suburban Sydney. I don't exactly know which species this is. Delineating between them is a bit of a fine botanical art. But what I do know is that these are beautiful plants that have quite stunning flowers and quite enormous root masses. This one here, you can get a little sense of the root ball below in this huge pot. I reckon if I had the time and a crane, what I'd be doing is lifting it up to show off what is clearly an absolutely epic cortex that's lurking below the soil. Like I said, I'm not bringing this home. I'd love to. It's an absolutely stunning plant. The cool thing about Uncarinas as well is that they've got these seed pods, and the way that the seed pods are dispersed, they've got these tiny little hooks all over them, and they get into animals' flesh as they walk past. They get carried off somewhere, dispersed into the world. I guess at some point they fall off, and then the seeds are released. Also makes them really, really annoying, because, you know, they get into our flesh as well. So just something to be aware of. Yellow flower with a deep red throat. If you're an Uncarina expert by any chance, please do let me know what species this is in the comments. However, the magic really happens in here in the old railway shed, repurposed, as you can see, into an absolute cactus wonderland. I reckon if I'm going home with anything today, it's coming from in here. Monkey tails, anybody? Oh, so you like monkey tails cacti, do you? Well, isn't that probably the most incredible one you've ever seen in your life? Now this is the table where I got my peyote. Absolutely beautiful, stunning, very old plants with many, many heads. You may well know peyote as being a psychoactive plant. It's illegal in many parts of the world purely because of that reason, and used spiritually to produce, I suppose, hallucinogenic effects. For me, it's purely about the beauty of something like this. Now, the plant that I chose it specifically because what I was looking for was something that would mimic that habitat look. Didn't want some huge mound with many, many heads like this one here. I did give some consideration to this weather-beaten one. It looked like it spent a lot of time braving the world, so to speak. But in the end, I chose mine because it had more prominent, bigger, sort of central heads from which a few smaller ones are emerging. But this one here, this remains a beautiful plant nonetheless. What I'm holding here is a Milo cactus, and they're quite unique for a very obvious reason. This growth at the top of the plant. Their common name is the Turk's cap cactus because what they have is this thing. It's a reproductive organ, a growth called a cephalium. What's a cephalium, you ask? Well, basically, it's a protuberance that emerges from the top of the plant when it reaches sexual maturity, and that's where the flowers grow and the fruits are produced. Very, very strange. And over time, all that growth energy gets transferred into extending the cephalium. And if you see plants in habitat, they'll often have very, very tall, even sometimes forked cephalium emerging from their bodies. You can see this one, got a little fruit on it. Fantastic, some seeds in there. These are magnificent plants, absolutely beautiful. 189 bucks. So it's in the price range, worth considering. You can see that idea of putting its growth into the cephalium, and this older specimen, it's a little bit more expensive too for good reason, but you can see the cephalium now has grown, starting to extend. It gives you a really good sense of what they call these a Turk's cap cactus. Now here's a genus of cacti that I really should have given a little bit more focus to in this channel. This is a stenocactus, and although you can see it's quite beautiful in its spination, the real distinguishing aspect of this plant is the ribs. These wavy, almost crenulated ribs really give it a fantastic sense of character. I'm not exactly sure why they have them, but I suspect, like many of the evolutionary adaptations that you find in cacti, it's probably got a lot to do with water capture, helping water that condenses or pools on the body of the plant make its way down to the root zone. Whatever the case is, it's an absolutely beautiful example of a stunning little plant. Outstanding. And these ones, these are cheap as. I could buy one of them. I could probably buy 10 of them. I'm not going to, mind you, but I'm definitely going to keep this plant in mind. On the topic of stenocactus, oh my goodness. Have a look at this one. Not for sale, sadly, but old enough, massive enough to sort of, let's say, trichotomize. What I mean by that, it's now got 3 growing points on the top of this plant. This is an absolute beast. And if this was for sale, I reckon it'd be coming home with me today. Alas, alas, what an absolute beauty. Now when we're talking about weird and wonderful cacti that you don't see a lot of in cultivation, and certainly you never see for sale in nurseries, at least in this part of the world, here we have Leuchtenbergia principis. Now this is called the agave cactus commonly. Why? Well, you just need to take a look at it. Have a look at these tubercles. Tubercles, of course, being the protuberances from which you find spines growing on cacti. They look a hell of a lot like agave leaves. Absolutely amazing, really. And surprising thing about this is it's actually fairly closely related to your barrel cacti like ferrocactus and also astrophytums. You can interbreed them, create what's called an intergeneric hybrid, a ferrobergia or an astrobergia, which to me, absolutely insane, right? But anyway, back to this particular plant. What an absolute monster. And the fact that its tubercles grow in the same sort of pattern as agave leaves indicates something of a convergent evolution. That is, of course, when different species of unrelated plants responding to very similar environmental pressures start growing in the same way. Now this is a big plant, doesn't have a price tag on it, the only thing it says is rare, which again makes me think it's probably not coming home with me today, but this is an absolute beauty nonetheless. If I was going to bring home one plant from this nursery today and price wasn't an issue, it would be this one. This is Copiopoa hasseltoniana, an absolutely beautiful species of plant, comes from the Andes in Chile. In habitat over time, because they grow so slowly, they have to contend with such little amount of moisture. They develop this really thick, glaucous, waxy farina on them. In cultivation, pretty hard to get that to come out. You can see it's a little bit pale, but it's not quite there. But even so, this is just the most stunning plant, I reckon, in this whole place. It is so beautiful. It's also very old. They're slow growing plants. Now, I did ask, because it doesn't have a price tag on it, I did ask $900, and that's a little bit rich for my blood, but you know, I can pretend, right? I can pretend while I'm here. This one's my baby, and no one can tell me otherwise. And the day it's not sitting on a shelf when I come here, I'll probably cry. Oh, it's so nice. So nice. Now seeing this little white globe sitting on the table here has reminded me. I don't think I've ever spoken about Astrophytum on the Arid Zine channel. What a glaring black hole, but let's right that wrong right now. This is an Astrophytum mysterious. It's a cultivar called Super Kabuto, which has been bred in Japan to promote this dense white covering. It's actually flecking. It's not a disease, it's not scale, it's meant to look like this. Naturally, the plants are a lot more green, but through selective breeding, we end up with an amazing plant like this one. And that's the thing about Astrophytums. Genetically, they're quite variable, which means that breeders in certain parts of the world, most prominently in Japan, Eastern Europe, Thailand, a few other places, have been able to do the most incredible things with them. You've got plants like this one, you've got many variegated forms, some with these incredible kind of lumps of growth. Now, I've tried to grow Astrophytum mysterious in the past, and doesn't agree with me too much. Often I've ended up with dead, rotten plants, so for a price tag of $299, I'm going to leave this one because I reckon it'll be dead in a few months. But let me show you another Astrophytum. This is Astrophytum myriostigma, also variable, also been done amazing things with this in cultivation. Beautiful flowers, as you can see. I'm going to show you in just a moment one of the more incredible myriostigma cultivars that's come out of Japan. What we have here is Astrophytum myriostigma onzuka, another Japanese cultivar. These plants are not for sale, but you can see that really very intricate white flecking creates this beautiful textured patterned effect on the plant. You can only imagine how incredible it would be to develop a plant like this through selective breeding. Very difficult process, I'm sure, but the results quite incredible. And because this is a shopping trip, I really do need to share with you the wall of pots. You don't really find a lot of pots like this in Australia. It's very rare indeed to see so many collected together like this, and I reckon that's probably because they're all at Cactus Vision. They've sucked them up. I've got my eye on a few of these, and I know for certain some of them are going to be coming home with me. We'll see which ones they are when I go check out, shall we? So what am I going home with today? Well, of course, like I said, a couple of these beautiful handmade pots. No idea what plants are going to go into them, and my pot collection just grows ever larger, but you never know. You always need pots ready when the opportunity strikes. I got this absolutely sensational hat. This will do me wonders in the blazing hot sun in my backyard when I'm working out there. Very, very stylish. And of course, I couldn't go home without a plant. Now, I couldn't afford that beautiful Copiopoa, and they wouldn't sell me that amazing stenocactus. So I've gone for something similar, a little double-barreled stenocactus. Two heads on this one, so dichotomous, almost in the space of that other amazing specimen plant. Now, I don't know my stenocactus very well, so if you know what species this is, please inform me in the comments. I'd love to know so I can give it an accurate label and know precisely how to care for this as best as possible. Now, like I said, if you're a real Arid Zine enthusiast, stick around. Let me tell you about an amazing thing it's become abundantly clear to me that some of you guys are all in on Arid Zine. And so for that reason, I'm actually starting an Arid Zine Patreon, which is essentially a community where you're going to have access to things like unedited raw footage, bonus episodes, behind the scenes stuff, all for a very low monthly subscription fee. As well as that, I'm producing the very first hard copy Arid Zine zine, like a physical 1980s punk ethos magazine with articles and mad art and some other crazy stuff going on. It's going to be absolutely epic when it's ready, and it'll only be there through the Patreon. If you do subscribe, of course, I'm eternally grateful. I love making this content for you guys, but I work full-time as an English teacher, so it's very hard to balance the work that I do there with producing the content that I love and I think you guys love. So every little bit certainly helps me chase that dream and make more for you guys. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed round 2 at Cactus Vision. I'm sure I'll be back here at some point in the future. Until next time, I'll see you then.